The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make us stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer.
Welcome back to Ryan and Ryan here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Ryan Risky.
All right, we're going through the mock draft on NBA.com here for the 2015 NBA draft. We left off here at number 12. The Utah Jazz are expected to take Trey Lyles from Kentucky. That's the power forward on Kentucky. So they're expected to take him. The Phoenix Suns with the number 13th pick. They're the team that's supposed to get Frank Kaminsky. So Phoenix Suns could get Frank Kaminsky out of Wisconsin.
That's a good pick for them.
Yes, it is. Power forward, 6'11", 245 pounds. First, the experience. Kaminsky had 4 years of facing good competition and a lot of pressure situations in the tournament, including as the best player on the team that came within minutes of a national championship. That will be attractive to a front office looking for an immediate contribution over a prospect who needs more time to develop. The College Player of the Year lacks strength, so defense could be a challenge, but he could be a good complementary player who can shoot, pass, and put the ball on the floor. So that's sort of the synopsis on Frank Kaminsky. Yeah, I think anywhere he goes, he'll be a immediate fit. As we said, he can shoot and everything, so that definitely helps. Number 15, Atlanta Hawks, Kelly Oubre from Kansas. That's the first player from Kansas. Number 16, the Boston Celtics are supposed to take Sam Decker. That's the second player from Wisconsin. So two players from Wisconsin could be going. Yeah, Sam Decker's only a junior, but he was expected to enter the NBA draft. So that's kind of interesting. As well, small forward from Wisconsin, 6'9". He can also shoot really well. 17, the Milwaukee Bucks are expected to take, this will be the second player from Arizona, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, small forward. He did a pretty good job as well. Number 18, Houston Rockets are supposed to take Montrezl Harrell from Louisville, power forward, 6'8". Sort of a Kenneth Faried type is what they say on him. Yeah, he's a pretty good player too. Number 19, the Washington Wizards are expected to take Jerian Grant from Notre Dame, point guard. He played really well. People didn't really know who he was, but he really played really well in the tournament. Number 20, Toronto Raptors are expected to take Kevon Looney from UCLA. Dallas Mavericks, number 21 pick, are expected to take Tyus Jones from Duke. All right, here's the Bulls pick, Ryan. The Chicago Bulls are expected to take Delon Wright from Utah. He's a point guard. So they're expected to take a point guard, which I think sort of makes sense with the fact that besides Rose, they don't really have a point guard.
They still have Kirk Hinrich.
Yeah, I mean, they have Hinrich. Aaron Brooks will probably be gone. Who knows? Wright has size, can deliver the ball to the right place at the right time, and defends, plus has the added value of being a more NBA-ready than a lot of players who will be picked before him. The 2 seasons in a major conference and 2 at a junior college will be the selling point to some front offices. The brother of Trailblazer Darrell Wright, so he's the brother of Darrell Wright, was 6th in the Pacific 12 in blocks last season as a junior, despite playing in the backcourt. So, yeah, he's from the Pac-12, another strong conference. They're expected to take Delon Wright. Hopefully they can get him. I think that makes a lot of sense. Cavaliers are expected to take Bobby Portis from Arkansas. Spurs are expected to take Christian Wood. I'm just going through this quickly. The Lakers' second pick, which they must have got from a trade, is supposed to be Rashad Vaughn. Celtics, Jarrell Martin. Cliff Alexander, that was the guy that could have gone to DePaul if he chose. He's suspected.
What great recruiting.
He went to Kansas. He wasn't very good, though. I mean, he was good enough, but he wasn't very good. He wasn't the focal point of Kansas, for sure. He was like the third best player on that team. He's expected to go to the Nets. And the Golden State Warriors are expected to take Terry Rozier out of Louisville. So that's how that goes for the first round. All right. So as we said, the Bulls have to wait a little bit for their pick. They're expected to take Delon Wright from Utah. I think that's a pretty good fit, obviously. And as we were talking before we came back to break, it's the Cavaliers are in a little bit of trouble, obviously, as management and Dan Gilbert or whatever his name is said that that he believes in David Blatt and that he thinks David Blatt is the right guy going forward and he likes him and everything. So that means David Blatt will probably be staying, which means no Tom Thibodeau in Cleveland, which is good.
Which doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it still could happen, but right now it sounds like David Blatt will be there next year. Obviously, LeBron James will be there next year. I mean, they're still going to be a very good team. It's just hopefully, for LeBron's sake, he will take over more of the coaching duties than
David Blatt.
Yeah, than David Blatt will. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
I did read the Lakers are entertaining the idea of trading the number 2 pick, so I was just kind of thinking, let's do a sign and trade, get rid of Jimmy Butler, maybe I get the 22nd overall pick and get the Lakers number 2.
Right.
Bye, you little greedy man. I stand this guy.
Well,
He's like, I only want to be paid like a superstar. I want to go to the Lakers, or I want to sign a 2-year deal and then get even more money when the next CBA hits. So shut up.
Well, I understand it, but the Bulls aren't going to let him get away. So
that's right. Sign and trade, get rid of him, let him be on the poor excuse of a basketball team.
Sign and trade would probably be that, if they were going to, if he wasn't going to be on the Bulls, that would be the way to do it, would be a sign and trade.
Yeah, give him and then the number 22 pick to the Lakers for the number 2 pick.
But, you don't give away your pretty much your best player. I mean, he is your best player.
You also have to remember when they said that him and Rose were having issues in the playoffs.
Right.
So then, you might have to choose, and I think Rose's contract is untradeable.
Right, but so you have to keep them both, and and they're going to have to work through whatever issues they're going to have to work through. I mean, if you could choose right now, I think everyone would get rid of Rose. If you had to choose
I think so, except I don't think you can get rid of him.
No, and you don't want to get rid of Jimmy Butler. I mean, I understand that he's greedy and he wants his money and all that.
Well, no, it doesn't even sound like he wants to stay. Like, he
wants to stay. He's said he wants to stay, but he just wants the money. The Bulls have the money to get him. The problem is they can't really do much else.
Yeah, I just think in the case with Jimmy Butler, I think he's better off going to the Lakers. And if they could get that number 2 pick where they could get Okafor or Karl Anthony Towns or whoever's available.
I don't think the Lakers would even do that.
I think they would. Jimmy Butler turned into a star last year, and then they're still getting the Bulls' first-round pick.
Right, but then, where does that leave the Bulls? Sure, you've got all these big men, but who knows what you'd get?
And then you could use Taj Gibson as trade bait.
Yeah, it's possible, but that's way too much that would have to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't even think it's a good idea to get rid of Jimmy Butler, but I understand it. It sort of seems like he's all about the money and not about being with the Bulls, but I think he would like to stay with the Bulls. He just thinks that they should give him the money. He deserves the money. It's just, he's played really well, but you would think he would think about taking a little bit of a pay cut so the Bulls could do some other things.
Where Brandon Saad said he's going to give the Blackhawks a hometown discount. He doesn't care how much money he gets. He just wants to stay with the Blackhawks and give them flexibility to make other moves.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely more common in hockey.
Yeah, I remember I was watching a replay earlier, the encore of the rally. It was late last night. It ended at about 2:30, so I didn't get to bed till late. And David Kaplan, Pat Boyle, and CM Punk were talking, and CM Punk brought up the topic of, when you listen to the hockey and basketball players' press conferences, they're so different because you hear basketball players say I all the time, like a LeBron, I'm the best player in the world. And then you hear any hockey player, Jonathan Taves, is saying we. Or hockey's is just more of a team sport, and you know it.
Right. I mean, they're both obviously team sports, but I understand what you're saying. In hockey,
I mean, if you really listen, it's a lot of I's in NBA press
especially
conferences.
when you lose. It's definitely I in basketball.
In an NHL press conference, you hear a lot of we's, and if you hear I in hockey, that team is probably not good.
Right. That's true, actually, but yeah, in the NBA, it's a little different. I mean, especially with the money situations and everything.
More depth in hockey, just because you need so many players. Where the NBA, you don't necessarily need as much, except if you're David Blatt, you have to play guys. Like you can't win with a 7-man rotation. Like they probably wouldn't even won with Irving in an 8-man.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, the Warriors are just too good. And now with the Warriors, they're going to have a lot of fun, especially next offseason, and especially if they win the title again, which there's no reason really why they won't.
It also sounds like they're going to have a lot of salary relief because it sounds like David Lee's going to be traded.
Right, and that's why Kevin Durant is probably going to go to the Warriors in the summer of 2016.
Could you I don't know about that.
A lot of people are already saying it, that he's going to go to the Warriors. I mean, why?
Really?
Yeah, I heard it on the way down. The score had on Adrian Wojnarowski from Yahoo Sports, and he was saying that next offseason there's so many options for the Golden State Warriors, and they could definitely get Kevin Durant. He doesn't think, even though Kevin Durant has said time and time again he doesn't want to leave Oklahoma City.
He really does. No one will.
Every player wants to win, and you're not going to win in the Western Conference, especially when you have Golden State.
Yeah, it's not that. It's like the way of life. Remember, they offered Pau Gasol a ton of money, and he signed for less with the Bulls because he said there's really no way of life down there.
Right.
It's like
there was also
depressing.
talk that he'd go to the Washington Wizards, but
Which is his hometown team.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think Golden State would be a great option for him. Could you imagine the starting five of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant? So there's point guard, shooting guard, small forward,
Draymond
all
Green.
out of the way. Draymond Green and I guess Andrew Bogut, although it doesn't really matter who their center is because they already have the best team in basketball.
Yeah, and then you got Harrison Barnes and Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala on the bench.
Right, and even if those people go, the Warriors still have enough to make things happen, and I'm sure some NBA players would take some discounts to head on over to Golden State. Because, it was never a top 5 market, but it certainly is now. It's always been a top 5 market, but they've never played well. Like San Francisco, that's a big market. So,
I think
a lot
that's
of
like
players.
The whole Bay Area. That's got to be that's the whole Bay Area.
Right.
Oakland.
It's probably the 5th or 6th largest market in the country. You have New York, L.A., Chicago, the Dallas, Texas area.
New York. Oh, you said New
Boston, and then you sort of get into San Francisco would be next probably. So, there's a whole lot of. There's a whole lot of hype around there, and there's a whole lot of reasons why players would want to play for Golden State.
That might sound like a little too much star power, though. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know.
It is.
I don't know if Durant would be okay with giving up that many shots because he likes to shoot.
Right, he likes to take control, especially at the end.
See, that's why.
I feel like you'd have the Miami Heat dilemma where who's going to get the ball at the end. Wade,
except these three are better than Wade, James, and Bosh.
Yes, they are.
Everyone knew LeBron's the best in the world. He needs to be the guy where it's Curry's team. That's the thing. Where when LeBron signed with the Heat, it became his team. It wasn't Wade's anymore.
Right.
Where if Durant signs with Golden State, that's still Curry's team.
Yeah, it's still Curry's team for sure, and but there's been talk.
See,
at least a lot of the
yeah.
experts think he's going to go to Golden State, but who knows?
My opinion is he'd fit in better with Washington because John Wall and Bradley Beal are two really good players to build a team around. And then if you throw Durant at the small forward, position, that would be a really good team. Where that becomes Durant's team.
Maybe the Bulls can try to lure Kevin Durant. Maybe they would trade